Hey guys, welcome to an exciting series that I'm starting today. I'll be showing all the games played between Vishwanathan Anand and Vishwanathan Topalov from the World Chess Championship 2010. The reason I decided to show this is because Vishwanathan Anand is my favorite Indian chess player, and this tournament inspired me because the odds were stacked against him. To begin with, this tournament was played in Sofia, Bulgaria, and Vishwanathan Topalov is a localite there, so he's a Bulgarian grandmaster. And Vishwanathan Anand had to travel from India to Bulgaria, that is Sofia, and during his travels he was stuck at the Frankfurt airport. And the reason why he was stuck was because all the flights were cancelled due to an volcanic eruption on an island or the mountain that I cannot pronounce, but it's on your screens now, so you can try to pronounce it if you want to, but I couldn't. I've tried it and I couldn't, so I just decided not to pronounce it and let you guys pronounce it. So because he was stuck at the airport and he was stranded, he requested the authorities to push the deadline or to push the tournament back by 3 days, but due to whatever reasons, Bulgarian officials said nope, and we cannot do that. You have to be here in time. Even though Anand left on April 16th because he was stuck, he did not know what to do. So then he and his team decided to travel for 40 hours by road just to get to Sofia, and finally they reached there on the 20th. They were pretty exhausted from the journey, and because of everything that happened, the officials decided we'll give him a day rest and we'll start 1 day late. So eventually they started 1 day late, and now let's check out the games. There were 12 games that were played. If there was not a clear winner decided, then they go into the rapid games. These are all the classical games with the classical time format. And let's check out the game. But before we do that, I have to let you know that this is a still from their championship, and none of the pictures that I show on my channel are taken by me unless noted otherwise. They have been taken from the internet where a lot of pictures are available. So let's get into the game now. D4, and that's what Vishwanathan Topalov opens with, as he has the white pieces and Vishwanathan Anand has black pieces. Also, another thing I forgot to mention was Topalov suggested they have the Sofia rule, which means that a player or both the players cannot offer a draw to the opponent. A draw has to be agreed by threefold repetition or by stalemate or by any other ways possible, but not by offering a draw. And it was in Vishwanathan Anand's arsenal too. If he wanted to, he could decline that, but he did not really care. So this tournament was played with the Sofia rule, which means that none of the players can offer a draw. So we have D4 to start with by Vishwanathan Topalov, and knight to F6. We have C4, G6, this is the King's Indian defense, and knight to C3. D5, now this turns into the Gruenfeld defense, and C captures D5, knight captures D5, this is the exchange variation. E4, trying to kick the knight away, and all of these moves have been played before. The knight could go back to B6, or it would capture on C3 here. And that's exactly what Vishwanathan Anand decided to do. He captured the knight on C3. So B takes C3, solidifying the pawn structure in the center, and white has a pretty good pawn structure, which is why this knight captures here is usually not preferred. But it's okay to play it. It's not a mistake or anything. So from here, bishop to G7, developing the bishop, and bishop to C4. Both players develop. C5, and it's never a good idea to capture this pawn on C5, because if you capture, then you lose your rook here on A1, and this is how you lose it. You give bishop check, bishop to C3 check, and you have to either move your king, lose the castling rights, or you have to block it with the bishop. Once you block it with the bishop, this rook here is now attacked, and just bishop captures a1, and you lose the rook pretty early in the game. Even though you capture the bishop, all black has to do is move the piece to g8, and the rook is fine here. The king doesn't really have to castle. It can later in the game artificially castle once this piece moves, and it's all fine. You're going to develop your bishop, you're going to develop your knight, and you're going to get the queen into the game eventually, and you will have a fine position. But none of this was played. After c5, not capturing, but we have knight to e2, developing move. If you capture, I'm either going to capture with the pawn or with the knight, you never know. So knight to c6, putting more pressure on this center. Bishop to e3, now getting more defensive pieces, and now castles by both sides. First black castles and then white castles. Now knight to a5, trying to go after this bishop here, and now bishop to d3, just retreating. He doesn't want it to be captured. b6, solidifying the pawn structure, solidifying this pawn on c file, and queen to d2. All of these moves have been played before, and it's a position that both players know. The reason why d2 is usually played is because now the bishop wants to go to h6 and get rid of this light square bishop, which is a powerful piece in King's Indian defense games. So we have e5, trying to negate anything that white wants to do here in the center, and now bishop to h6 as planned. C takes d4 first. We have bishop takes g7, trying to get rid of this bishop. King takes g7, and now c takes d4. We have e takes d4, and now rook a to c1, just occupying this open c file, which is the only file that is completely open on this board. And queen to d6. Again, all of these moves have been played, and both opponents were playing a pretty equal game, just waiting for each other to make a mistake. f4, now f6 and f5, just solidifying the positions, hoping to get some development going. Queen to e5, a perfectly perfect move, because now black doesn't have, or white doesn't have dark square bishop, neither does black, so that's why you want to put your queen here, and it's not easy to get rid of this queen from this square. So knight to f4, now trying to get his pieces into the attack, going towards the queen. And here Anand should probably develop this piece, because right now 3 of its pieces are stuck on one side of the board where there is nothing happening, because there is no activity going on the queen side, and all of these pieces are aiming towards the king side. So Anand should pretty quickly get his pieces into the game. But we'll see what happens. After knight to f4, we have g5, and now attacking this wonderful piece here, and asking, what do you want to do? Do you want to go back, or what's your plan here? We get knight to h5 with check. And after this, we just have king to g8. Finally, there is time for Anand to develop his pieces, and he should pretty quickly. But he instead chooses, after white plays h4, he chooses to go h6, just to defend. If you capture, I'm going to capture it with my h-pawn, and he had to play this. I mean, he did not have time to develop the bishop yet. So, h takes g5, h takes g5, and now rook to f3. Again, amazing position, because now he wants to bring the second rook into the attack, and he's going to have an amazing attack on this file. After this move, Anand went into a deep thought, because he was either out of preparation, or he just forgot the move order on what to do next, because everything was prepared till this moment. After thinking for at least 10 minutes, this is what he came up with. king to f7, and this was a big blunder which gave white a really good advantage. And if you guys have some time, please pause the video and try to find the correct move order that gives white a clear edge and a winning advantage. So let's show you what Anand should have played instead of playing this move. So after rook to f3, Anand should have played bishop to d7. Once he plays bishop to d7, finally developing the bishop, he could do something about this rook here. And now a4, finally, if you try to attack this piece, and I'm going to show you what happens. So let's say that you decide it's a free pawn, I'm going to take it, and you decide to capture it. Now here is what happens. You have three pieces that are on the A file and on the queen side where nothing is happening. And look at white's pieces. This is ready to jump into f5 or even the 7th rank here. The queen is ready to attack, the knight is ready to attack, the bishop is ready to attack from here or just to support these pawns. White has all the pieces coordinated, but the black doesn't, and the next move is a killer blow, knight to f6 with check. You have rook takes f6, queen takes g5 with check, and king to f8. If you go king here, then it's all over. It's just you will get checkmated pretty quickly after a rook to h3, and none of that. You have to play king to f8 and now rook to c7, getting the other rook into the game, and rook to c8. You have to give up some material, but it's not going to be easy for you because now black has two passed pawns, white has two passed pawns, and it's going to be pretty ugly. So it's not a good idea to capture here with your bishop. So after pushing a4, we get rook a to c8, just trying to exchange off some pieces. And if you do this, then you are equal. This game is completely equal now because you are going to get some queen check, queen to a2 check, and once you block with the rook, you're now going to get rook takes c8 and bishop takes c8. This is completely equal. This is what Anand should have played instead of king to f7. King to f7 is a blunder, and if you guys found the move that Topalov played, you guys are amazing players, so keep it up. And for the rest of us who were not able to find it, this is what he played. Knight captures on f6, and an amazing move, and this is complete advantage. Even though you're sacrificing the knight for a pawn, it's a complete advantage on the white side. Just like this move enables or disables these two pieces from getting into the action anytime soon, because the attack is going to be so strong that you will not have time to get these pieces into the game. This piece is completely stuck. This rook is stuck here forever and it cannot move. So after knight captures f6, and this move was played just after Anand played king to f7, Topalov thought for maybe a minute or so, and then immediately he played knight captures on f6, and he knew this line because he had studied it and he knew that he was winning from here on. We have king captures f6, queen captures f6 also doesn't make a difference. It ends up, the end result is the same, and now you get rook to h3. This rook is ready to jump into the action with h6 and give it a check. So after rook to g8, trying to defend this pawn, because once you give a check, the king has to move and then this pawn is going to fall, might be with a check. So you have to defend it, defending the pawn, and now rook to h6 check as planned. King to f7 and rook to h7 check, pushing the king even deeper into its own base. So king to e8, now this king is cut off from the 7th rank. All it has is these three squares to roam around, which is why it was really important to develop this bishop initially, and because Anand didn't, he now is completely losing. Rook c to c7, now getting the second rook into the action. So now this piece is out of the game. this knight is stuck here on a5 doing nothing but has to just sit there and watch what happens to black's king, and this is a completely lost game after. King to d8, you have to protect it because there were checkmate chances after you give queen, after you defend this b5 square first and then give a check. These threats are pretty crazy and there's nothing you can do about it. Also this passed pawn, I mean, what are you going to do about the passed pawn? But after king to d8 we have bishop to b5, again just closing down this diagonal, and you can never really capture because you get queen captures on d4 and with check, and it's going to be all over pretty soon. You're going to have 1, 2 and 3 pieces. Once it captures 3 pieces here that are attacking and not many to defend. Not many in a good position to defend. We have queen captures e4 instead, and now just protecting this pawn, which you have to, and rook to c8 check. The reason I did not ask you guys to pause the video and find it is this is Topalov's line, and he sacrificed a rook for this bishop which never really moved, and it's an amazing line what follows. This was the final position in the game where Anand decided that I cannot survive this attack anymore and I have to give it up, because here is why. If you capture it with the rook, let's say for example you capture it with the rook, then this is checkmate in 15. So if you guys have some time, pause the video, try to find this checkmate in 15. I'm going to show you a little bit of this line. After rook takes, we get rook to d7 check, and now you're losing the queen here. There's nothing you can do. King to e8 and rook captures with a discovered check, and there is nothing you can do to protect the queen. You can put your queen back. Could be a defense, but then you will lose a queen and there is no point in continuing this game after such a lost position. So you have to take it with the king after rook takes after rook to c8 check. You have to take it with the king. After king takes c8, you get better chances of surviving a little longer into the game, but it's complete advantage for white pieces. You get queen to c1 check, knight to c6 trying to get the knight into the game, but now you get bishop takes c6 attacking these 2 pieces. What are you going to do about it? Nothing. Queen to e3 check, getting out of the way. Now after queen takes e3, d takes e3, you can capture bishop takes a8, and even though this pawn is pretty close to queening, it has 2 squares and the king can easily jump into one of these squares and protect the queening square. If you think you can put the rook behind on e8 and try to defend it, this bishop will come to the square or come to this square, and then it's going to attack it. There is no way you can defend everything, or you can push this pawn to make a queen. So g4, you can try to push whatever pawns you have, and now king to f1, getting closer to this pawn. King to b8, trying to attack this. You just get bishop to b7. Now your king cannot go anywhere. I mean, king is stuck. All these positions are guarded, and there's nothing you can do. Rook to f8, trying to go after this piece, this pawn, and now bishop to e4, defending. Rook to e8, going after the bishop, and now just bishop to d3. You guard the square. Nothing black can do. b5, trying to get some counterplay, but king to e2. Now you're definitely going to pick this pawn up. b4, because you have pawns, you have to keep pushing them, and rook to d7. Now you defend this piece. There's nothing black can do in this position. Rook to f8, trying to go after this pawn, but it's nicely defended. So after rook to f8, we get king captures e3, Now finally you eliminate this pawn, and you are going after these 3 pawns that black has. There is nothing black can do about it. All of the pawns, all of your pawns are defended or guarded with black's own pawn, so he just has to wait and watch. King to c8, going after your rook here, but rook captures a7, you finally eliminate this a7 pawn, and now you're going after these 2 pawns, and you are at least going to get three queens into the game. If black decides to give up a rook for one of the pawns, then you're at least getting 2 of the queens into the game, and that would be pretty hilarious if that really happens. But these grandmasters know all of this, so after rook takes c8 with check, Vishwanathan Anand decided to resign the game. He said, I cannot continue defending this position because it's a lost position, and he said he's going down 1-0. So the result of the first match is Topalov 1, Vishwanathan Anand 0, and it was later discovered that Vasily Topalov had some help from the Bulgarian Defense Department, as they loaned him the supercomputer that allowed him to find this sharp line. So that was an amazing fact. Once that was discovered, Vishy continued his attack, and he eventually conquered, and we'll see how he conquered Topalov over the chessboard in the future games. That's it from me for the first game. Hope you enjoyed it, and if you have any questions, comments or concerns, please let me know in the comment section below. Namaste. See you next time.